How's it going, everybody? My cup of tea here, back in the reaction video. I'm here to continue watching the Every Pokemon Type Explained series. Yay, yay. Now this time we're gonna be watching the disgusting, crawly, creepy, scuttery Pokemon known as the bug type Pokemon, which sometimes I be forgetting like what they're like weak and strong against. But we're about to see what's a bug, what's considered a bug in Pokemon's eyes, Game Freak's eyes. We're gonna see what's considered a bug type and move on from there, or continue from there. Wait, before we start this, I do have to remember, Japan considers bugs like good, kind of. So there might be some Pokemon that aren't bugs or like have bug similarities, but they might be considered good nature, which might be reasons why they're a bug type. Maybe? I don't know, spitballing. But let's actually start this now.
Of all of the Pokemon types, Bug is the simplest to explain.
Okay.
But it does have an interesting history. For a time, it was a terrible type to be.
Word?
So many common weaknesses and so
Lord.
few good moves.
Oh god.
It was almost a worthless type back in Gen 1 and 2. But these days, it's just as good of a type as the rest of them.
Never mind, maybe it might be a simple type.
Gen after gen. But when it comes to explaining why the various Bug-type Pokemon are Bug-type, it's simple. They are all bugs.
Okay, sorry, my thing was...
Well, that is except for a few of them. There are a few that get a little gray into whether or not they should be bug type.
Okay.
And I'll be saving those ones for the end. For now, let's explain what the bug type is all about and why each bug type Pokemon is what it is.
Let's do it. Okay, so take what I said before about them being good. Never mind.
These germy, creepy, tiny, cute,
We're here.
lovable, petable things. There are quite a large variety, especially since bug is the general term for many, many things. It includes insects, arachnids, some arthropods, and more. And while most are tiny, some are very large.
Bill.
Keep that away. Thankfully for me, I don't have to worry about the big ones here in Oregon, but in the tropics, there are billions of them of varying size. The total mass of all bugs easily outweighs everything else on land, so it makes sense that many bug-type Pokemon are extremely common. And speaking of the bug Pokemon, they are massive for bugs! This one's the size of a horse! Of course!
I know that one. That's called Scolipede, which something like that. I call it scoliosis when I first saw it, because I'm like, I don't know why. It sounded like scoliosis. I called it scoliosis. But
a horse! Just
yeah, that's a big one, though. That's a big bug.
Alright, I'm calm. So let's categorize these Pokemon with similar ones, and start with the OG bug Pokemon, Caterpie. Based on the eastern tiger swallowtail in its caterpillar state, these spots on its body aren't actually its eyes. Well, maybe they are.
That's right,
Caterpie
yeah, not
Pokemon are weird. But if this Pokemon were accurate, the eyes would actually be tiny, tiny little specks right here. Cute. The eye marks are for scaring away predators, of course, because Caterpie are delicious treats to a Spearow. Metapod are just the boring chrysalis stage of the caterpillar when they wrap themselves up and sleep forever, and they then become a beautiful butterfly. In this case, Butterfree. Sort of a generic butterfly, but its wings most closely resemble that of the black-veined white butterfly. Other Pokemon that go through the same metamorphosis are Wurmple and Scatterbug. Scatterbug and its evolution Spupa are both
I have never seen that before.
Also. They seem to most closely resemble the larval forms of the carpet moth and clothes moths, the moths that eat fabric, and considering the fashion theme of 6th gen, that makes sense. Though, they evolve into Vivillon, a butterfly, not a moth. So that brings us back to the generic aspect, as moths and butterflies are hard to tell apart before their middle stage. And Vivillon is different depending on where you live, and as such, it somewhat symbolizes all of the minute changes that can happen over spread out generations of butterflies across the world. It's really cool how tiny changes in DNA over generations can do that. It's kind of like the butterfly effect. Literally. As for Wurmple, there are plenty of pink caterpillars, such as the pink sphinx. And then there's the slightly less pink but more horned elm or four-horned sphinx. Combining these two would get you Wurmple, who then evolves into either Silcoon or Cascoon.
Oh, that transform into Silcoon? Okay, interesting. Because I have seen Wurmple quite a bit.
Both cocoon stages of the metamorphosis. And then finally, either Beautyfly or Dustox.
Beautifly.
Now,
Okay.
There are no real caterpillars or worms that can turn into a butterfly or a moth, but they are close enough that it works for a Pokemon.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Beautyfly seems like a generic swallowtail butterfly, and Dustox is based on the Luna moth.
Oh,
Most drivers
okay,
spend their
interesting.
life.
I didn't know these Pokemon. I didn't know those two Pokemon were based off of other bugs out there in the world. Dust moth, really? Yeah. And we're back.
So let's talk about moths now. Larvesta and Volcarona
What is
are
that?
some of my favorite Pokemon.
Why you-
partially because
hold
I
on,
like
nah,
these
go
now.
back.
Larvesta
Why you look like that? Why you look like you like a serious problem or something? Like, I don't know. You look like a problem.
and Volcarona are some of my favorite Pokemon, partially because I also happen to love moths. They are based on the Atlas moth or the Cecropia moth,
It's a big
as
moth.
well as the saying, attracted like a moth to a flame. Clever. Venonat
Is it
is
Firebug?
named after the gnat, like Gnoggin with the silent G, but it's a bit of a misconception when it comes to being based on one because it isn't. Gnats are very small blips that you normally can't see the details of because they are so tiny, so
Hey,
they just
gnats.
look like little fuzzy balls in the air. But this is a gnat up close, and this is a mite, what Venonat is actually based on,
I
at
can see
least
the mite
according to
now.
its name in other languages, as well as its poison typing and its behavior according to the Pokedex, and basically everything besides the English name. It then evolves into Venomoth, which is a very generic moth. But because of its poison typing, it's likely based on moths from the Arachnid family.
I don't wanna see
I'm
this.
probably mispronouncing that, as that family of moths are the poisonous moths. Though the coloration, especially of the shiny Venomoth, points to morpho butterflies. Man, Game Freak sure likes to confuse moths and butterflies a lot. Surskit is easy. It's based on the Garriday or Water Strider or Jesus Bug. These guys
Jesus
go
Bug.
by a lot of names, but they are easily identified as they live right on the water's surface, skating around, not sinking in because of the way they spread out their
Okay.
body weight as to not break the surface tension of the water.
Are they
and
safe?
then, for
They don't
whatever
bite?
reason, Surskit, the pond skipper, evolves into Masquerain, the moth thing. Well, maybe? It's got these big wing
What is
things that
that?
look like huge eyes, which many moths do, but then it also has the head shape of a lanternfly and the flight pattern of
Wait,
a
what time is it? Wait, 1 second. I'll be right back. I gotta take my trash out. I might be too late. Okay, I am back. So I forgot they kind of pressure washed my area of my apartment, and so when I walked to my door to put the trash out, it was just wet. Like towards my door, it was just wet, so I had to clean that up. I don't know what happened. Let me go back a little bit. What were we talking about? Moths. That's right.
Maybe? It's got these big wing things that look like huge eyes, which many moths do, but then it also has the head shape of a lanternfly and the flight pattern of a damselfly, so it's kind of all over the
Just
place.
everything it wants to be,
Pokemon
yeah.
are allowed to do that, but I wish I could pinpoint it. Burmy are based on bagworms, which are
Burmy.
little worms that grab onto things from their surroundings and makes a little protective bag around itself.
That's an actual
from
thing?
leaves to rocks to trash. It just does whatever it can to survive. The cute little hobo. Then it evolves into either Wormadam or Mothim, depending on its sex. Female bagworms never fully mature into their moth stage like the
I don't like
males
that.
do.
I don't
The
like that.
females stay at home all day and collect child support money. And these aren't even the only bagworm Pokemon. There's also Pineco and Forretress. One is a bagworm resembling a pinecone.
Is that an actual pine cone? It is a pine cone Pokemon. I was Nuzlocke. There's the whole thing about this.
And the other looks more like a clam, honestly. It even has cannons resembling the jets that some clams and
Oh,
mussels have.
okay.
So, should it really be bug type? Well, the Pokedex does list both of these as bagworm Pokemon, so I guess so. Then,
Guess your
other bug
bags,
Pokemon that go
Pokemon.
through a similar
Or bugs.
metamorphosis, but not into butterflies or moths, are the lines of Weedle, Swadloon, and Grubbin.
Okay.
Grubbin is just that, a grub, which is the larval stage of a beetle. Nothing much else to go on. But when it evolves into Charge-a-Bug, you know.
What? What was,
With the
what was that? Hold on. Yeah, American Express. What was that? What did this evolve into? What was that? I didn't get a good look at it. I can't even describe what I think it looks like because it happened so fast. Hold on. Go back a little bit. What?
Go on. But when it evolves into Charge-a-Bug,
Charge a bug. What? 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 What is that? Noggin, explain.
you know. What even is a Charge-a-Bug? It looks kind of like a wrapped up, cocooned bug, but not quite.
What is this?
Just so square. It's more of a battery than a
Battery. That's what I was thinking. It's like a battery, like a charger, maybe. What is this?
bug.
Electric type. Electric bug.
Notably, though, there is the Denkimushi caterpillar in Japan.
Doesn't look
whose
the same.
sting is said to feel like an electric shock.
Maybe it
And
is.
It is similar in color, so there's that. But then the final form is Vikavolt, which is based on either a cyclomantis or a stag beetle, or a weird mix of the two.
Why does this look like a final boss of something? This is a cool looking Pokemon. I like it. Okay.
And then there's Sewaddle and Swadloon. They are based on the caterpillar and chrysalis forms of the silver-spotted skipper butterfly. But then, instead of evolving into yet another butterfly, they become a walking leaf bug. Good one.
Somehow.
And then Weedle goes against the norm even more.
Weedle,
it's a little worm that then becomes a cocoon mixed with the larval stage of a bee, a cocoona, and then into a beedrill. So at least the last two stages make sense, though beedrill isn't a bee. It's an Asian giant hornet. Pokemon that are bees, however.
They tricked me. I thought it was a bee this entire time of my life. I thought that was a bee. It's a wasp. My childhood ruined. I thought it was a bee.
Are Combi and Vespiquen. Combi is a honeybee that is also the honeycomb within beehives,
right? Which
is where they store their eggs and honey. And also, they are almost entirely male. The occasional females have this spot on their head, and that means that they are able to evolve into Vespiquen, the queen
Only females
bee
can
of the
evolve,
hive,
makes sense.
as beehives are ruled over by a single queen. And then there's Cutiefly and Ribombee. Both completely adorable, and both based on the Bombolide beefly. That was fun to say. Bombolide beefly. Another bug that flies is Yanma and Yanmega, its evolution, which looks like a military helicopter, and that's really cool. Yanma is a dragonfly, clearly, perhaps specifically the red-veined darter. And Yanmega are based on the Meganura, a now extinct dragonfly that were massive. Cicadas are also flying
they're
insects.
extinct.
And in Pokemon, they are Nincada, Ninjask, and Shedinja. Nincada is the next stage of the cicada, and when it evolves into both Ninjask and Shedinja, Ninjask is the fully grown cicada, and Shedinja is the leftover husk that cicadas are famous for leaving all over the darn place.
I see.
Buzzswole is an ultra...
Yes! Buzzswole! Buzz! I'm sorry, every time. Yeah, we saw you in the last video. Buzzswole back at it again. Yes, go. Dumb down right there.
Yes, for leaving all over the darn place. Buzzswole is an ultra beast based on a very ripped mosquito. Those darn little bloodsuckers. Illumise and Volbeat are both firefly
Who cares if
Pokemon
mosquitoes?
that
It's
love each
Buzzswole.
other, as fireflies are often depicted in romantic scenes in media, especially because the fire on these flies is used to signal each other and find a mate. Cute. Ledyba and Lydian are both obviously based on ladybugs, not much more to go off with them. Scyther and Scizor are based on praying mantis.
I like these two Pokemon. I like these two. I think Scizor is the final one, right? Final evolution Scizor, I think. I think. I don't know, but I love these two. I love their designs. They're cool. They would have been my favorite Pokemon if I didn't learn about Buzzswole last year.
Obviously based on ladybugs, not much more to go off with them. Scyther and Scizor are based on praying mantises and mantid flies, which are just mantises with larger wings. And Pinsir doesn't fly. Until it mega evolves.
What?
Pinsir is based on the stag beetle too, just like Vikavolt. But specifically, Pinsir seems to be the Lucanus, Mansulife moratus, Hopi. And similar to stag beetles are rhinoceros beetles, which Heracross is based on. And when it mega evolves, it becomes much more similar to a Hercules beetle. Another beetle is Carablast, which is a mix of the scarab beetle, a Japanese rhinoceros beetle, and the Carabus blaptoids, which is famous for eating snails. And Escavalier is the same beetle inhabiting a stolen shell, as they do. In this case, it's the shell of a shelmet, a snail nautilus worm thing, which...
If you would have told me, hey, my cup of tea, what type of Pokemon is this? Like, what's the Pokemon type? I would have told you, is it water steel or something because of the helmet? No, stupid, it's a bug. I would have been like, what? And then we would have fought. I was like, no, it's not, and we have to fight. I wouldn't have fought. That's really a bug. That's crazy.
Which evolves into a Selgor, a very fast slug snail bagworm thing. Love being specific. Good job, Game Freak. And speaking of hard shells, Durant is a very durable ant with an exoskeleton of steel. and an exoskeleton is tangentially a shell, kind of, so that was a bad transition. But moving on, Genesect also has an exoskeleton of
Genesect,
steel.
yeah, we saw the
In fact,
AMV on this
it's a
one.
man-made one, as Genesect is a science experiment by Team Plasma. They took some revived fossil Pokemon and made modifications to it, including the shell, the cannon on its back, and who knows what else. There are plenty of theories on what ancient Pokemon they took, but it may not even be a Pokemon we know about at all yet. But one thing is for sure. It is an insect from the Paleozoic era, which was about 300 million years ago when insects were massive. Kricketot and Kricketune are based on crickets, clearly.
That cricket got a mustache. That's a fancy cricket. Give that cricket a hat. Boy, look, the cricket on the left got like a little suit on, like it's stunting. These are some fancy bugs. I would shake this bug's hand. I will let this bug marry my daughter that does not exist. You bug, you sir. You're promoted.
When insects were massive. Kricketot and Kricketune are based on crickets, clearly. Those loud buggers that keep you up at night and make delicious reptile treats. Venipede, Whirlipede, and Scolipede.
That was quick. Okay, he wanted to get that off his chest. He did not like these crickets.
Buggers that keep you up at night and make delicious reptile treats. Venipede, Whirlipede, and Scolipede also all have exoskeletons. It's like they're bugs or something. The first two forms are based on the pill millipede. Millipedes that are very short for being millipedes, but are able to curl up into a small pill and roll around. The last evolution, Scolipede, is based on the Scolopendra genus of centipedes, which are very large. Not bigger than a horse, though, but still big nonetheless. Skorupi is also obvious. It's a little...
Oh, does this evolve into that purple menace? What's this called? I'll know when I see it.
Well, scorpion, which...
There it is. Yep, that's the menace. Yep, there he is.
Loses the bug type? What the heck?
Time out. What?
Obvious.
Hold on, we're going back.
Not bigger than a horse, though, but still big nonetheless.
It loses bug?
Skorupi is also obvious. It's a little scorpion, which loses the bug type?
How?
What the heck, Game Freak? It goes from being poison bug to being poison dark?
Where does the dark come from? I think he explained it in the dark video, but that's still weird.
I mean, I get why it's dark, and I get why it's poison. We covered Drapion in both the
okay, he did cover, yeah, okay.
Poison type and dark type sections. But to replace bug when it's clearly a bug? Well, if they ever add 3-type Pokemon, we know what will happen here.
No,
Next category, Arachnids.
If you have arachnophobia, click off or scroll past this part of the video because you're going to be seeing some spiders. And there's no arachnophobia mode to put on, so good luck.
Spinarak and Ariados are very, very obviously spiders. Specifically, Spinarak seems to resemble the Hawaiian happy face spider. Okay. Because it's greenish and has a happy face on its butt.
It's pretty happy.
And Ariados' coloring seems to resemble the Mimorachne formicaria.
Okay. Speaking of spiders, right, since this is a Disney ad, for Spider-Man, Brand New Day, I think that's the movie. I want to watch that, actually. I'm not really a movie goer / watcher, but I am a fan of Spider-Man, and I gotta check that out. Since I won't get my Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse conclusion because of that one actor doing some weird things. It probably got delayed to like, what, 2030, whatever, maybe? So I don't know when I'm gonna see that for the Miles Morales movie. But Brand New Day, that should be pretty soon. Up, and here's the Switch 2. I do not care about the Switch 2. Sorry, we're ranting now. I do not care about the Switch 2. If you get a Switch 2, hey, I hope you have fun with it. I don't care for it. I didn't get a Switch 1. I don't like how they're charging the price $80 for physical copies. Don't like that. But hey, to each their own. Hopefully, I got nothing to say. I have nothing to say I have nothing positive to say for the Switch 2. All I have is hate in my heart. So I'm gonna stop talking and let's start this video back up.
Joltik is a little cute, fuzzy jumping spider, but with elements from the tick as well. But instead of sucking blood, it sucks electricity from wires. Still a pain, but much more innocent. You can't give Lyme disease to a cable. At least not yet. The scientists are working on it. Those darn cables. They deserve it. Joltik then evolves into Galvantula, which is a large tarantula. Those big fuzzy spiders that heroes keep as pets. Jupiter and Arachnid are based on diving bell spiders. Spiders that live most of their lives underwater and use their webs to store air bubbles for them to breathe.
So it's bug water. It has to be bug water.
And now, we reach the final category. The somewhat controversial category of... Are these bugs?
Let's hear it.
Should these really be bug type? What's going on here?
This right here, this one right here, this crab-looking thing with the big rock on his back. I need to see. I need to know how this is a bug. I've been eyeing at this entire time.
It's quite the long name, but it's worth it. First, let's get Pheromosa out of the way.
It looks like a bug.
This Ultra Beast has two origins that fans argue about all the time. Is it an American cockroach after molting and it never gets its shell back? Or is it a copepod, a tiny planktonic crustacean that looks like this? There are plenty of arguments for both that we to, but it also begs the question, are crustaceans bugs? Because obviously, if Pheromosa is the American cockroach, then obviously it's a bug. But if it's a copepod, what then? And the same applies with Crustal and Dwebble as well. Both are hermit crabs. And there's also Parasect and Paris. Some say that they are cicadas without wings, but others point to their more crab-like appearance.
I feel like they're more crab than cicadas than anything, but yeah, I don't know how these are considered bugs.
Though, personally, I think they are just sort of generic insects. So, they get to be bugs. You guys get out of this not-so-sure category. I said get! But crustaceans, right? Are they bugs? Crabby and king
Yeah, crabs aren't really...
aren't bug type,
Yeah,
neither are the other shrimp and lobsters. Crustaceans share many properties with bugs though, like the exoskeleton and the large number of legs. In fact, crustaceans are part of a larger group known as arthropods. And that group not only includes crustaceans, but also insects and arachnids.
That's confusing.
The argument is clearly there to make crabs bugs, but you wouldn't pick up a lobster and say, "You get this bug off of me," would you? Perhaps,
I would not.
In Crustal and Dwebble's case, it's because they aren't watery crustaceans like most are. Crabby and Kingler aren't bug type because they're water type instead. But you couldn't just give Crustal and Dwebble the water type like most crustaceans are because they're not watery. So, is bug just the next best thing? Why not make them just rock type? And if crustaceans are bugs, even in the exception of the Pokemon world, then shouldn't Crabrawler be fighting bug instead of just fighting type? And then...
It's just fighting? I thought it was like a second typing for that one.
What about the other arthropod
What
Pokemon?
is this armored up Pokemon ready to take on the world?
Anorith and Armaldo are a Trilobite and an Anomalocaris. And then Wimpod is a Trilobite mixed with an isopod, a crustacean. Golisopod then is the giant isopod, another crustacean related to shrimp and crab.
Wait, what's that called?
Golisopod then is...
Isopod, yeah, that crazy AMV. RIP, that Pokemon's throat. I have never forgotten it all these years. That was crazy. That was brutal. Dang.
The giant isopod, another crustacean related to shrimp and crabs. Not bugs! Again, you wouldn't hand someone a plate of cocktail shrimp and say, "Hey, have a platter of insects." You'd give them a split-second panic attack until they realized you were just messing with them. And then, there's Shuckle! You always ruin everything, Shuckle! Who the heck are you? You resemble a tortoise more than anything!
Are you a bug?
Real life
No, Shuckle is a bug. I remember seeing it in the games like being like a bug type. Where? How? Shuckle. How are you a bug?
Who the heck are you? You resemble a tortoise more than anything! The closest real-life thing to a Shuckle is an endolith. Freaking algae inside of a rock! Endoliths are colonies of bacteria or fungus or algae found in the pores between mineral grains of a rock, and they are often in long tubes or strings within, like Shuckle. So are we now saying that algae is a bug? Where does it end? Are you a bug? Am I a bug? Who cares? It's Pokemon. Are you perhaps a barnacle? A mollusk? What's up, Shuckle? Talk to me.
Talk to me.
Well, there is another aspect of Shuckle that points us to an actual bug.
Oh,
Shuckle is said to make delicious juice out of berries.
Captain's blocking. I need to hear this about Shuckle. God Shuckle in the building.
Aspect of Shuckle that points us to an actual bug. Shuckle is said to make delicious juice out of berries, and the scale insect is a parasite that also makes a sweet liquid to attract insects for food. And you can sort of see similarities in this freshly hatched species, but this one would imply that Shuckle is both microscopic, and each of its limbs are a completely different creature. But then, of all of the scale insects, the one that most closely resembles Shuckle is the soft scale insect, which is yellow, and is one whole being, but it's specifically the soft shell one. So, not at all Shuckle, who has the highest defense in the game.
What? Why is Shuckle broken in defense? What? Shuckle?
It's tied with Mega Steelix and Mega Aggron.
How? Mega Aggron? You're Shuckle. Shucks.
Look at these three! One of them is not like the other, and it's freaking mystery meat over here. So are you a bug? Are these bugs?
I don't know. See, this one I can understand being a bug. They said it might be a cockroach. This one, I can see it. This crab with a boulder on his back, and this Shuckle, this entity. I don't know how these two are bugs. I don't know how you're a bug. I do not know. You look like you're water, like rock or something. I don't know.
I suppose they share enough qualities with bugs, granting them the type, I guess. They were given it for lack of a better type. Maybe the type shouldn't be called bug, it should be called exoskeleton or something. Carapace type, creepy crawlies type, hard type. No, not that one. Well, that's it for bug Pokemon. What do you think? Pretty obvious, right? Well, the next type will be more interesting.
Most of them are pretty obvious.
So until that next time, please never stop using your noggin and check out these other awesome videos right here. Thanks a million.
Most of them are obvious. It's just those final like 4 or 5 right there. It's just like, ow. Ow. Oh, well, ice type is next, really? Oh, it is next, huh? Okay. Well, I should be fun to watch. I should be fun. But yeah, like he's mentioned at the beginning of the video, that was pretty simple to understand and comprehend with these bugs. I mean, because they're based off bugs, they look like bugs, they're bug types. Pretty self-explanatory. Now again, there were a couple outliers that I feel don't belong in the bug sphere, but hey, we'll give them a pass. Except for Shuckle. I don't know what you are. Because Dwebble, right? I can maybe, if I twist my head to the left and like really imagine it, I can see it being a bug type. But Shuckle, I cannot. No matter how much I twist my head, try to see without seeing, I can't see it being a bug. I can't. No. The berry thing he mentioned, nah. I'm not giving him that. I'm not giving it that. Now, I forgot that he would show videos of actual bugs in this video. So if you had a problem with bugs, I'm sorry. We suffered together, I guess. But we're gonna end the video right here. A couple more videos I'm gonna check out. Ice coming up soon. Ice types are coming up soon. So hope you enjoyed my reaction, and thank you for watching. MyCupOfTea is out of here. Adios. Ho ho. It really has the max stat. It has the best stat, special defense stat in the game. Shuckle, really? I would have never thought that would be like one of the top special defense type of Pokemon. Because usually you think like a strong, maybe like a big looking Pokemon like the Aggron or Steelix he mentioned, Mecha. But nah, there goes little Shuckle just right there in the middle, just be like, yeah, you can't hurt me. I'm Shuckle. Why is that a tank Pokemon? You know what? The more I question things, the more I'm just lost. The more I'm lost in the Shuckle sauce.